and welcome to another episode of FooBar. In today's video we are going to interview Martin Buberl. If you're interested in watching more content about serverless, cloud computing or software engineer practices in general, subscribe to my channel in the red button below. I post a video every Tuesday. So let's get started! This is another episode in the series of interviewing serverless reference people. And if you don't know the series, you should go and check it out. I'll leave you the link in the card and also in the description box. In today's video, we are going to interview Martin. Martin is an AWS community hero. He is the VP of Trustpilot and he has an interesting story to tell us. So I will leave all the links to find Martin online in the description box as well. So let's get to the interview. So hello and welcome to the interview, and I'm very happy that you're here with us and with the audience. Can you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks for having me. My name is Martin Buberl. I'm a VP of engineering at Trustpilot and AWS community hero.
Yes, that's cool. So how you got started with serverless?
So we got started with serverless about 2 years ago mostly, when we started deciding to move most of our compute infrastructure into serverless. So back then we had kind of mixture of EC2s and ECS at that point, and then reInvent 2016, it made a lot of sense for us. Everything clicked right with all the announcements, and we came back to Copenhagen and said, hey guys, we really want to be at the forefront of this movement. Cool. Let's see how we can move into serverless.
And how is now? Do you have everything on serverless already?
No, we don't have everything on serverless yet. We moved since the last 2 years, I think we reduced our virtual machines, our EC2s, by about 50%.
Okay.
And continued to move things like breaking up our services into containers, but we increased the amount of serverless by Lambda functions by about 650%. Wow. I think we have today 250, 260 Lambda functions in production.
Nice, that's cool.
And so yeah, we're going to continue that path.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah.
And I think maybe new features come into serverless already. You're not thinking about EC2s when building new features.
No, we have like a hard deadline now for EC2s, end of Q2 2019.
Wow.
Where we want to be out of EC2 completely.
Wow, that's a really strong statement.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Let's see how we can do it, but yeah, I think it's possible.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah.
What are the biggest challenges for you in the serverless environment, now trying to move everything there?
Well, there were two challenges, I think. One was, how do you convince your engineers that this is the right thing? Like
everybody keeps telling me the same thing.
Yeah, so I think with all the things that got announced today by Werner in the keynote, if we would have had that like 2 years ago, it would have been a much easier story to tell, right? Because everybody liked their tools and their IDEs, and they're used to the way they work, and it changed a little bit, right? Yes. And so there needed to be a bit of convincing, to be honest. But I think now everybody's really happy that we took like a leap there and are at the forefront of this. And so, the second, I think, important piece, or what's challenging for us, is once you break your code or your components into smaller pieces, what we do with serverless or with serverless functions, you lose traceability and observability, right? So you gain simplicity in your code base and like for those components, but you get complexity.
Yes, in your architecture.
In architecture, managing all of these pieces. Yeah. And this is still, I think, today a little bit of a challenge. But things like service mesh, I think, is super interesting for us. Using that moving forward. I think there's like more support now with X-ray and so on, right? And so we're slowly gaining that type of like observability and traceability again. And so these are, I think, the biggest challenges for us.
Cool. And serverless is such a new thing that we were just starting quite early. So we got it in the diaper stage, and I think it's maturing, and the tooling is coming little by little.
Exactly.
But yeah, there's still a lot of things that needs to be done.
Oh yeah, for
improved.
sure.
And how is this future of serverless?
Future of serverless. So I think when serverless came out, there was a bit of confusion. I remember the first year, every talk you had to explain for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, what does serverless exactly mean, and what it is and what it isn't. Everybody had their own definition, right? I think now we're moving into the terminology of serverless being fully managed services, and Lambda as like an event-driven compute, right? And so I think that makes a lot more sense. It was moving very fast, and I think the terminology was just not ready yet for everybody to use it. But I think we're maturing there. The future of serverless as like managed services for you, I think we're gonna just see more and more of that. It's focusing on the business logic, focusing on the actual product value. Use the engineers on your team where they make the biggest difference, right? And then let like AWS or other cloud providers do the scaling for you.
Every line of code matters now with serverless.
Yes. It's like we just rethink scale, and it's hard. It's hard. Like it's hard to do it right. It's hard to do it the best way, and we definitely had like problems in the past, where we got scale wrong, or our auto-scaling policies were like off, and so
those things are you learn by doing, and you get the best practices. And now with this serverless well-architected framework lens that is there, at least there is some good practices for serverless, and more are coming, because back to the technology is getting more mature. So at least for me, the future of serverless is to be the cloud. So when we talk about serverless in the future, in the long future, we'll be talking about cloud and serverless as one word. That's how I imagine it, but I don't know, maybe I'm too crazy.
No, I think you're right. It's just there's a movement of a lot of like younger companies, or companies at the forefront that like really pushing the boundaries of the cloud towards like fully managed services. But there's still a lot of companies that are not in the cloud yet even, right? So I think they're both going to coexist for quite some time.
A lot of companies that are not in the cloud, they're adopting the cloud by adopting serverless.
Yes.
They're not going to the past and start doing their easy to use, and they're just, okay, if we have to rewrite this thing, we just rewrite it to be serverless. Why to go to 10 years in the past? So, and then at least the future, in my opinion, looks very bright.
Yeah, I think so too. No, it's definitely the evolution of the cloud for me as well.
Now I want to know a little bit about your community involvement, because you are very involved in the Denmark community and in the Nordics. So I would like to know a little bit more about that story.
All right, so I'm an AWS user group leader. What that means is I help organizing meetups in Copenhagen. And so we have every other month we try to organize a meetup with either speakers from the community or speakers that come from AWS that help us out. I hope you will visit us at one point.
Yeah, whenever. I love Copenhagen.
And so we have the meetup as part of the community, but then we also started to have now a dedicated Slack.
Yes.
And I think those two work really nicely together, right? I think we software engineers are sometimes not the most comfortable people to do network and to mingle with others. And so what I've seen is combining those two things, going to a meetup, hearing a presentation, listening to a talk, and then being able to reach out on Slack to the speaker or to other people and ask a question about something. Then you start a conversation.
Yes.
And then the next time you show up at a meetup again, it's easier to say, hey, didn't we talk, right? Or didn't we Slack with each other? And so I think this helps us a little bit to bridge that. The other thing is we will host the Community Day in Nordics for the second time.
First one was in Helsinki, second one in Copenhagen.
Exactly. And so
when is that day?
February the 19th.
Okay, so
February 19th.
all the Nordic people, no, book it in your calendar.
Yes, I would love if we can make this a real Nordic event, not just a Danish event.
Yeah.
Hope we can have lots of Nordic speakers from the other Nordic countries, and I would love also if some community members are able to travel. I know it's not easy for everybody possible, but I would love if it feels more as like a Nordic event and not like a Danish event and like a Finnish event.
Yeah.
We can, as a community, as a Nordic community, get together once a year and like really celebrate it.
Yeah, I think the Slack also helps to bring the Nordics together.
Exactly.
And a lot of people that maybe are watching this, they don't have a community close by their homes, or how they can get started to build a AWS user group. Do you have some tips for?
Well, if there's not already an AWS user group in your city, I think it's as easy as reaching out to AWS. If you go on the user group website.
Yeah, I can put the link, so don't worry.
Yeah. There is, I think, a form where you can reach out to them and ask, you want to get involved, how could we set this up, and then they will get back to you. But in most cities, I think there is already a community, and I think it's always appreciated if you want to get involved, reach out actively, or just go to the next meetup and have a conversation. Yeah,
that's a good point. And if there is not, then just fill that form or have your first meetup.
Exactly. It always sounds much harder than it is, right?
Well, I don't think it's hard after you have been doing it for a while, because at least AWS is such a hot topic that a lot of companies come back to you like, I want to sponsor this, I would like to be part of this. So it's kind of, after you set it up, it's just a thing that moves quite easy.
100%.
Yeah. So what is your favorite announcement from re:Invent this year?
I think everything that we heard around AWS Lambda that got released the last 2 days is super exciting for us and for our engineers at Trustpilot. It's things that the IDE support now, that's huge. Being able to step through your functions there, bring your own runtime. I think that's really exciting. I don't think we're gonna see COBOL.
I never thought that I would see serverless COBOL in my life.
Well, there you go. And I mean, the sky's the limit now. I mean, bring your own runtime, implement it yourself, and I think that's really exciting. Not just the whole framework, and as I said earlier, if we would have had it 2 years ago, we would have had much less friction, I think.
Do you have something still on your wish list?
Yeah, I think there's still some confusion often, like how to provision your AWS Lambdas, how much RAM you want to give them. I think if there would be just a flag of like, test them against all of these options and use the one that has the best price value for me. I think that would be really interesting. There's this orthodox thing, right? That sometimes if you provision your Lambda higher and it runs faster,
it's cheaper.
It's cheaper actually than if you provision it like low, right?
Yeah.
And so that's not very native to a lot of people. No. Because you pay for the actual runtime.
And it's kind of tricky because it's increase your memory, and at the end you're increasing your CPU, so it's kind of a tricky thingy that you need to kind of know.
And so if there would just be a flag like optimize it for me, and if you have Lambda that has like a lot of invocations, it would be easy to scale that out in the back end and say, okay, here's the sweet spot, right?
Exactly. That would be a really cool wish list thing.
Yeah.
We can target it for next re:Invent or earlier.
Exactly.
So thank you for coming and being here and for your time. So I will leave all the links that we talk about in the description box, and if you have something else, I can also leave it there for the community. So thank you.
Thank you.
This was the video for today. I hope you like it. If you did, give a big thumbs up, and I want to know if you like this type of series, so let me know with a thumbs up. And I would like to do another round of interviews around June, July, and I would like to know who you will be interested in me interviewing, so let me know in the comment box as well. Around here there are other videos from my channel for you to watch, and if you want, you go and check it out. If not, I see you in the next episode of FooBar. Ciao ciao!